Think of a road, not one made of asphalt or concrete, but from something entirely natural. Surprisingly, the material comes from a fruit we all know well, the coconut. But how exactly does a coconut become part of a road? Let's follow the fascinating process step by step. It begins in the southern states of India, where the tropical climate makes coconuts more than just food. For thousands of farmers, coconuts are a livelihood and a raw material with countless uses. Harvesting starts with workers knocking down coconuts by hand or using long poles. Once collected, they're stacked for the first step, removing the husk. Now, this husk isn't the thin brown shell we're used to. It's a thick, fiber-rich outer layer, 5 to 7 centimeters strong. Using sharp manual tools, workers strip away this husk, often by hand. What remains is a rough, damp coconut shell, useless in its raw form, but packed with potential. To unlock the fibers inside, large breaker machines crush and shred the husks. This is delicate work. Too much force breaks the fibers, too little won't separate them. Once freed, the fibers are cleaned of coarse pieces and spun in rotating drums where long golden strands emerge. Short fibers, dust, and pith are discarded, leaving only the strong fibers used for rope, bedding, pots, and most importantly, road building. Before they can be used, these fibers must be processed further. They're sorted by quality, since only fibers of a certain length and strength can handle the stress of weaving and road construction. The chosen fibers are washed in large water pools to remove soil, dust, and insects, then spread under the sun or placed in dryers. This removes moisture without harming their flexibility or durability. Next comes carding, a process much like combing wool. Machines align the fibers neatly, making them easier to spin into yarn. On spinning machines, the fibers are twisted into strong 2-ply threads, tough, flexible, and naturally resistant to water and microbes. Unlike synthetic materials, they decompose harmlessly without leaving plastic waste. The yarns are then woven into coir geotextile fabric on large looms. Unlike regular fabric, this weave is wide and porous. It's designed not for looks, but for function, allowing water to pass through while holding the soil in place. It strengthens road foundations, prevents erosion, and even lets plants grow through it, maintaining ecological balance. When building a road, this fabric is rolled out like a carpet across the soil. Though it looks soft, it's extremely durable, fixed to the ground with steel nails so even heavy trucks can pass over it. Once in place, gravel is poured on top, distributing the weight of vehicles and preventing collapse. More layers of soil or asphalt are added above, just like in conventional road building. At this point, the coconut fabric disappears from sight, but it continues to work invisibly. It stabilizes the soil, balances water flow, and strengthens the foundation beneath the road. The result is a durable, eco-friendly roadway built without expensive concrete or steel infrastructure. By using coconut fiber, India has found a way to build reliable rural roads at a fraction of the cost. Sustainable, local, and in harmony with nature. A road woven not from industry, but from the husk of a simple tropical fruit. And believe it or not, coconuts are not the only strange material being used in construction and technology. Around the world, scientists and engineers are turning to the natural world for inspiration. Here are some of the most surprising ways nature is being used in modern engineering. Mushroom bricks. Imagine building a house, not with clay or concrete, but with mushrooms. Sounds impossible? Not quite. Scientists and engineers have discovered that the mycelium, the root-like network of fungi, can be grown into solid brick-like blocks strong enough to replace conventional building materials. The process begins with agricultural waste, things like corn husks, sawdust, or straw. These are packed into molds, and then mycelium is introduced. Over just a few days, the fungus spreads through the organic matter like a natural glue, binding it tightly together. What emerges is a mushroom brick, lightweight, fire-resistant, and fully biodegradable. Unlike cement, which requires enormous amounts of energy and emits carbon dioxide during production, mushroom bricks grow almost by themselves, needing very little energy input. They're also excellent insulators, keeping buildings cool in summer and warm in winter, and when their life cycle ends, they can safely return to the earth without polluting it. Today, mushroom bricks are already being tested in eco-friendly architecture projects around the world. They've been used to create walls, furniture, packaging, and even temporary pavilions that look futuristic but are grown entirely from fungi. Some scientists believe that in the future, entire cities could rise out of living, self-growing materials, structures that can heal themselves and adapt to their environment. So the next time you think of mushrooms, don't just imagine them on your plate. They might one day be the very walls of your home. Spider silk stronger than steel. At first glance, a spider's web looks fragile, something you can sweep away with a single hand. But hidden within those delicate threads is one of the strongest natural materials known to science: spider silk. Ounce for ounce, spider silk is tougher than steel and stronger than Kevlar. It combines extreme strength with remarkable flexibility, able to stretch up to 5 times its length without breaking. For millions of years, spiders have used it to build webs that can withstand wind, rain, and the violent impact of insects flying into them at high speed. Scientists have long dreamed of harnessing this material for human use. Imagine bulletproof vests, medical sutures, parachutes, and even aircraft materials made from spider silk. The possibilities are endless. But there's one challenge. Spiders can't be farmed like silkworms. They're territorial, cannibalistic, and produce silk in small amounts. To overcome this, researchers turned to biotechnology. By inserting spider silk genes into other organisms, they've managed to produce silk proteins in surprising ways, inside bacteria, yeast, plants, and even goats. Yes, goats. These genetically engineered goats secrete spider silk proteins in their milk, which can then be extracted and spun into fibers. The result is a material that is lightweight, biodegradable, and stronger than almost anything humans can manufacture. Already, prototypes of spider silk textiles, medical threads, and even experimental body armor have been created. One day, what began as the invisible threads of a spider's web could transform entire industries, proving once again that nature often holds the blueprint for the future. Pineapple leaves for textiles, Piñatex. Every year, millions of tons of pineapple leaves are left behind after harvest, discarded as agricultural waste. But what if this so-called waste could be transformed into something valuable, even luxurious? That's exactly what innovators have done with Piñatex, a textile made from pineapple leaf fibers. The process begins in tropical farms, where leaves that would otherwise be burned or left to rot are collected. Inside these long green blades are strong, silky fibers. By extracting and processing them, the fibers are turned into a non-woven mesh, soft, flexible, and surprisingly durable. This base material is then treated and finished until it resembles leather. The result is a fabric that looks and feels like animal hide, but is completely plant-based. It can be dyed, cut, and stitched just like leather, making it perfect for shoes, handbags, jackets, and even car interiors. Unlike traditional leather, it requires no toxic tanning chemicals and no animal sacrifice. Unlike plastic-based faux leather, it is biodegradable and sustainable. Big fashion brands have already begun using Piñatex in their collections, proving that the future of fashion doesn't have to harm animals or the environment. What started as discarded leaves on a pineapple farm is now being worn on runways and in everyday life, an example of how waste can be reinvented into innovation. So, the next time you see a pineapple, remember, it might not only be food on your table, but also the fabric of the future. Human hair in roads. It might sound bizarre, but one of the latest materials being tested for road construction doesn't come from quarries or factories, it comes from us. Human hair, the everyday waste swept up in barbershops and salons, is now being added to asphalt to make roads stronger and longer lasting. The idea began when engineers noticed that hair, though lightweight, is surprisingly tough. Each strand is made of keratin, a protein that is both flexible and resistant to wear. When mixed into asphalt, these tiny fibers act like natural reinforcement, holding the material together and preventing cracks from spreading. In India and China, where millions of kilograms of hair waste are produced every year, researchers found that adding just a small percentage of chopped hair to road mixes increased flexibility and reduced maintenance costs. In other words, roads paved with hair last longer under heavy traffic and extreme weather. What's more, this approach solves two problems at once. It recycles a waste material that often clogs drainage systems or ends up in landfills, and it makes infrastructure more durable at a lower cost. So the next time you're getting a haircut, think about this. The hair falling to the floor might one day end up beneath your car tires, woven invisibly into the very road you drive on. Algae street lamps. Streetlights are usually a symbol of modern technology, wires, bulbs, and electricity. But in France, some of the most futuristic lamps don't run on electricity at all. They run on algae. These lamps are filled with microalgae, tiny plant-like organisms that live in water. By day, the algae carry out photosynthesis, absorbing carbon dioxide from the air and producing oxygen, just like trees. At night, the same microorganisms give off a natural bioluminescent glow, lighting up the street without the need for a power grid. What makes them even more remarkable is their efficiency. A single lamp not only provides gentle greenish light, but also cleans the surrounding air, acting like a miniature urban forest. Some designs even harvest the algae's stored energy, creating biofuel that can power other devices. In cities where pollution and energy consumption are major concerns, these lamps offer a glimpse of a different future, where our streetlights don't just consume energy, they produce it and help heal the environment at the same time. It's a reminder that the light of tomorrow might not come from wires or fossil fuels, but from living organisms that have been quietly glowing in nature for millions of years. Cactus water purification. In the dry landscapes of Mexico, the cactus has always been a source of food, medicine, and survival. But recently, scientists discovered yet another extraordinary use: cleaning dirty water. Inside the pads of the prickly pear cactus is a sticky substance called mucilage. To the naked eye, it looks like clear slime. But hidden within it are complex sugars that act like natural magnets for dirt, bacteria, and even heavy metals. Villagers have long noticed that adding cactus slices to cloudy water makes it clearer. Today, researchers have confirmed that the mucilage can bind to impurities, causing them to clump together and sink to the bottom. What remains is safe, drinkable water, purified without expensive chemicals or machines. This method has already been tested in rural communities where access to clean water is scarce. It's cheap, sustainable, and easy to use, since cacti grow abundantly in arid regions where clean water is most needed. In a world where water scarcity is becoming one of humanity's greatest challenges, the humble cactus might hold one of the simplest and most natural solutions, turning a desert plant into a lifeline. Living tree bridges. Deep in the misty hills of Meghalaya in northeastern India, villagers have mastered a form of engineering unlike anything else on Earth. Instead of building bridges with stone, wood, or steel, they grow them. The roots of the Indian rubber tree are naturally strong and flexible. For centuries, local communities have guided these roots across rivers and gorges, weaving and training them along bamboo scaffolds. Over the years, the roots thicken and intertwine until they form a living bridge strong enough to carry dozens of people at once. What's remarkable is that these bridges don't weaken with age, they grow stronger. Some are over 500 years old, still in use today, and capable of withstanding monsoon rains and floods that would destroy ordinary structures. Unlike modern infrastructure that requires constant maintenance and eventually collapses, these bridges are self-sustaining. They repair themselves, adapt to their environment, and can last for generations. In a way, they are a perfect symbol of harmony between humans and nature, not conquering the environment, but working with it to create something enduring and alive. Banana leaves as biodegradable plates. In India and across Southeast Asia, there's a simple yet ingenious alternative to plastic that has been used for centuries: banana leaves. Thick, glossy, and naturally water-resistant, these leaves are often used as plates, food wrappers, and packaging. Unlike paper plates that require cutting down trees or plastic plates that pollute for hundreds of years, banana leaves are 100% biodegradable. Once discarded, they break down naturally, enriching the soil instead of harming it. They're surprisingly sturdy too. Hot food, oily curries, or even liquids can be served on them without soaking through. And because banana plants grow quickly and abundantly, the supply is practically endless. In many cultures, serving food on banana leaves is more than just practical. It's traditional. It's believed to enhance the flavor of food, keep it fresh, and connect people with nature. Today, as cities look for eco-friendly packaging, banana leaves are being reintroduced as a green alternative to single-use plastics. It's a reminder that sometimes the most advanced solutions are not new inventions at all, but old traditions rediscovered. Cow dung bricks. In many rural parts of Africa and India, one of the most unexpected building materials comes from an age-old source, cow dung. When mixed with clay and dried in the sun, cow dung can be shaped into bricks strong enough to build entire houses. For generations, families have used this method not only because it's cheap and abundant, but also because it's surprisingly effective. Cow dung bricks act as a natural insulator, keeping homes cool during scorching summers and warm during cold nights. They're also breathable, allowing moisture to pass through and preventing dampness. And unlike industrial bricks that require energy-intensive kilns, these are made with almost no carbon footprint. In some regions, dung plaster is also applied to walls and floors, making them smoother, more durable, and even resistant to certain pests. What seems primitive at first glance is actually a sustainable, eco-friendly building technique that has stood the test of time. In fact, modern architects are now revisiting this ancient practice, seeing it not as backward, but as a smart, green alternative for the future. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this journey through strange and surprising eco-ideas, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves learning about the future of our planet. And don't forget, drop your favorite invention in the comments below or suggest one we might have missed.